to this second episode in our webinar series, where we're going to take a deep dive into collaboration, Butler. Just as a reminder for this session, today is as myself, so Luke White, Sales and Operation Director here at PDF Butler. And then I've also got my colleague Michael Fox with us as well. So he'll do the good stuff. I'm just going to do the propaganda slides beforehand, and then Michael will jump into a live demo. So just a reminder, the goal for this series is to equip you with the product expertise, so you understand the value, the positioning, and the ideal use cases for all of our solutions, so therefore speaking to clients or your own internal use cases as well. Obviously, this series has been targeted towards our partners out there in the ecosystem, but I know we've got a number of customers or prospects joining us as well today, so you'll see some benefits of that. But of course, we're here to support the growth of businesses, just not of our partners, but also of our customers as well, by utilizing our technology and also helping to build a stronger partnership, both with our partners and also our customers. So in addition to that, you would see our first episode is available on YouTube. So we did a demo on our newest product on Contract Butler, so our CLM product. So that is now out there to be watched. Hopefully some of you who were joined today also watched that one. So thank you for coming back if you were there. So today's agenda is to take a look at the product overview of Collaboration Butler, and then we'll go into a live demo with my esteemed colleague Michael. We'll show you that, and then we'll go into some go-to-market messaging, and then finish off with the Q&A. So, Collaboration Butler. So what is it? It definitely is a product that we've built that enables you to be able to connect with some of your Salesforce to your SharePoint or Google Drive to help streamline some of the document workflow. So we all know that sometimes the storage of Salesforce can hit some limits and potentially some expenses, and also maybe is restrictive to non-Salesforce users who need to be able to access some of those documents that are out there. So the beauty of Collaboration Butler is to be able to store those documents in SharePoint or Google Drive, but actually still be viewing them from the Salesforce UI. So you get the best of both worlds in there. What we've done, of course, like all of our products, we've built on the best of breed architecture. So we're combining that number one CRM with the top document platforms out there. So we've done an awful lot of work with obviously SharePoint and Google Drive. So that's the most important, the two biggest sort of document storage platforms out there, and ones that most of our customers use in there. But of course, it's enterprise grade as well, which is important. Then that can also be leveraged through the Flow, Process Builder, Apex as well. So all of that functionality you've got in Salesforce can be leveraged with Collaboration Butler and storing and sharing those documents. I don't want to talk too much about the product because Michael's going to show us a demo of it, so I don't want us to do any spoilers for that. So now we're into the fun section for sure, where Michael will be walking us through Collaboration Butler and showing some use cases that we've seen from our existing customers. So Michael, I will hand over the power to you.
Thanks, Luke. Hi, everyone, and hi to the person in the chat. Yes, that is my full name. Don't know. I don't know why. But yeah, if you have any other questions today that don't relate to that, pop them in there, and we'll make sure we answer those at the end. A couple of invisible things I wanted to show you. First of all, I didn't want to pull up Teams and share anyone else's data. So yeah, there is the ability to use Collaboration Butler to interact with Teams, so you could share these types of links. And also, this image on the right is what your users would first see. So after the setup, which takes about 25 minutes, either on SharePoint or Google Drive, with all the kind of credentials and secret keys copied into Collaboration Butler, that's what your users are going to see. They only see that once, and then from there, you just pop them into this section. Your users aren't going to have to, log in again. And it's usually, the case that they are logged in online already. All we're going to be seeing today is SharePoint. You can have both set up in your environment should you need to. Google Drive has a lot of the functionality that we're going to see, and we are working to have absolute feature parity pretty soon as well. And you can have multiple sites. So if you've got multiple SharePoint sites that you want to load dynamically, you can do. We've got some customers that are using a site per account. That's fine as well. And you can even have multiple tenant instances. So that's like an entire SharePoint separately that you can have as well. So yeah, and you can also use Collaboration Butler to sidestep Salesforce limits for emails. If you're sending thousands out, maybe like the automated ones that come from our sign request emails, you can link to 365, and it means you're not contributing to those email limits in Salesforce. And final thing, if you do have loads and loads of files in Salesforce and you wish you had Collaboration Butler earlier, we can do like a sweep. We can say, right, we're going to install Collaboration Butler. We're going to set up all the files and folders as you want them. And then we're going to move all those files from Salesforce to Collaboration Butler to show to SharePoint or Google Drive. And if you want, delete them from Salesforce or just leave a link. So onto the actual demo. What does it look like? Collaboration Butler can look a couple of, it's got two looks. So this look on the left here is for when maybe you've got a bit more space on the page. You might have put this in a tab. And then we've got this look on the right, which is a little bit more compact, but we're seeing the same things. So you can see we've got the same files that are on here. And you can, as you can see, have both at once. And you can use these, uniquely on your page layouts to change things like options as well. All of the options you'll see here, I've kind of removed, just preview and sharing. But on the right-hand side, you can see that they're all available. Now, these aren't going to overwrite the permissions that you've got in SharePoint. Collaboration Butler isn't able to do that. You can remove the buttons, if people can't delete things, but if the button to delete is there, it doesn't mean that I can just delete something in SharePoint that I'm not allowed to. So on the left, this quotes folder is showing all of the opportunities that are related to this account. Now, you can, of course, drag and drop files on here, multiple if you want to. You can access SharePoint directly as well, and you can create subfolders and specific folders should you want to. But all of these can also be auto-created, so that as a new account exists, that new folder structure is created with those subfolders. And that's really useful when perhaps you need to share items with team members who aren't on Salesforce. We see that a lot. People who can navigate to a particular folder where perhaps, signed contracts are placed, and we'll take a look at that. And if someone is allowed to change a name of an account, which is going to affect, the kind of folder structure, we can keep up with that as well. So if you make that change, it's going to rename and move all the files to the correct place. Now, you can see there are different file types here in this example. If I, preview this PDF, you can see it comes up as OneDrive, but this is, it is SharePoint. It's just known as kind of different things. Most of these are, kind of previewable, not a zip file, but even this Excel, you can kind of preview in here. It's not always, obviously, perfect depending on what it is. And you can also do things with them. So we'll look at this more later, but if you pick a file on here with this radio button, then you can use packs. So if you're familiar with PDF Butler, that's just something you want to do with the document, whether it's sending it off for signature. In this case, I'm just going to send it to email to the record owner. So that's kind of me, just as an example. And we'll see that pop in any second. There we go. So if I just drag this onto my other screen, it's just an email that has come through with that car quote attachment on it. So quite a simple use case, but as I said, we'll look into more of what you can do with that in just a second as well. And you'll see as well that was a Word document, but it turned up as a PDF. So you can have options there if you do want to make sure that people don't accidentally send a Word version, perhaps of a contract. Now, this is viewing all those files and folders from SharePoint on the account level. So to give you an idea, if it's not particularly clear, if I open this folder in SharePoint, it's going to take me straight through to that. So all my accounts in my business are here, and then the subfolder of Smith & Company, and then the subfolders of all my opportunities on here as well. So it's exactly the same. Anything I add in this end shows up in this end. It's just a case of refreshing, and the same thing if I add things to this, it's going to end up in SharePoint because it's a window to that. It's not that we're copying them, it's not that we're keeping them somewhere else. This is just a window into SharePoint that we're setting up. Now, if I move from the opportunity from the account to an opportunity on that account, So let's open that specific one, in fact, so we can see it. Always got too many on here. Web form with test drivers. This one, I think. Yeah, okay. So if I now go to this one here, you can see all I've got is this signed quotes folder. So this is what that compact view looks like on a slightly wider view. So with these signed quotes, I can see all those files underneath. But on the opportunity, I don't have to navigate to the specific folder for this opportunity. I'm already there. Now, you don't have to have it set up like that, but that is going to save your users obviously time. And this navigates just slightly differently. So instead of popping them out, I'm able to pop back to the kind of root folder in this way as well. And you will have seen on the account and also on the opportunity here, we've got these buttons to create documents. So instead of having to use our components to preview things and then pressing a button to save it into SharePoint, which is possible, you can create them directly into SharePoint using these components and using the same kind of logic that you would have had before. And it's worth knowing as well that whilst you can preview them, you can also access them directly to edit them. So if I click this button here, I can open in the app or I can open in browser. I'll open in browser here. And maybe because this is a Word document, I want to make some specific changes. So let's put some changes in here and I'll make them obvious. And then as I close this, you can see because it's SharePoint, this is just going to save. And if I refresh this page, then this is always going to be the version that everyone's got access to. So you don't have to kind of think about updating your files here. You haven't got to download it locally and make your changes. If I now, oh, I've got preview turned on, so I can't preview that one, but it's going to be the same one. Instead, I'll send that one for signature. So we've got lots of different options here to kind of send things. And that's just going to send that off in the normal way to John Smith, who's going to receive that for signing. So there's no kind of detriment. If you are, really embedded with PDF Butler at the moment, you can still use it in the same way with all the kind of packs that you've got. So I've sent that one off for signature, and I'll also show you how you can maybe create a document that you want to share with someone externally, but you don't want them to always make changes, or you want to have track changes on. So that's what this one here is for. If I create this version, it's just a set of terms and conditions with track changes turned on. But now when I try and open this in the browser, and this would be the same experience that someone would get if you sent it to them. I'm going to go to make those quick changes online, and it's telling me that I've got to open it in the desktop app. And that means that you can track those changes that people are going to make, and they can't turn them off. There's kind of security there. Now, if you want to, have even more control, watch the last episode of our webinar series. It's about Contract Butler, which was showcased there for real control over absolutely every clause and kind of redlining, going back and forth, all managed within Salesforce. We've got that option as well. And you can also do the sharing from here. So you haven't got to open SharePoint up. You can say, right, I want to share this document. Click share. And as you can see, you can do the usual, create a link for people that you want. Here's John Smith in my contacts. Press next. This is now going to create a special link just for John. So if I copy this and open this in an incognito window, John would have opened an email with that link in here, and they've got to confirm who they are before they open that. So they will put their email in, and you get a number that they then need to enter in to prove that they are the owner of that email and they haven't intercepted it in some other way. So lots of different ways to kind of use SharePoint without ever opening SharePoint from here as well. And as well from here, we've got some other controls. So you can send just one, via email. That's fine. If you just want to fire that off and there's just a standard here are your documents template. But maybe you want to send a few things and you want to add something kind of alongside it. Maybe I want to send this quote and maybe a previous version as well. So these don't have to have these kind of long names. These are just for our kind of demo purposes. But this is pulling in a template. This is addressing it to John first of all, and I can obviously add other people to this email. It's attached the first document, converting it from Word to PDF. And now I can also add extra files. I can also, change things in the body of the email. But this is the real kind of key bit that this changes for you. So you might want files that are related on the record. Yeah, let's add one of those. So I've now got, kind of two ones from different dates. But I might want also other things from SharePoint. Maybe I want to borrow down and find one that was signed previously. And you can start to build up lots and lots of things, even just owned by me or recent. I won't click on these just in case there is other company names or anything that we've been showing here. Or I can upload files just, directly from my machine as well. And because this is linked to 365, you can go bigger with the size. This isn't going to, have the same kind of Salesforce email size limits. So now to go a little step deeper, I've got a contract example here. Now I'm going to move this from this negotiation review stage to this stage here. You can see I haven't got the ability to create any documents in this stage. But if I move this back, then in this stage I do. So now I'm going to create this contract, and I'm going to imagine that there is someone who is in our legal team and they want to have a look at this contract. They're not able to access Salesforce to update a status. It's got this extra metadata field. So this is in SharePoint, and this is updated automatically as the file is created. So if I now open this in the browser, this is maybe what our legal team would see. They would come in, they would make their changes. You can see it's got this extra metadata field here. This is just a text one for our example. They would come in and say, right, okay, yeah, this is fine. So now you can set that as approved. I've got to refresh this page just to show you that status is now approved here. And now if I refresh this page also, probably wouldn't happen in a couple of seconds. This might, take a day or two for legal to do that. I could obviously come back and just view this status and say, oh, great, it's approved. I can now do something with it. But you can also, if you've got the right version of Power Automate at SharePoint end, you can automate it to update Salesforce. But in this case, we've got this little button here, which could obviously be just ran on a schedule. This is a little bit of custom code that we built. It checks, it sees that that's now says approved, and it's just moved it to closed one in this example. So a little example of how you can go even deeper, with some kind of custom code to do that. And then what about all of this on a community or an experience site, depending on how long you've been working with Salesforce? So this is an opportunity for a user Peter partner. They've got two files in Collaboration Butler against their record. And on the experience site, this is what it looks like. So they've got Collaboration Butler set up here. And here you can see they've barely got any options. I think if I just refresh this, I was changing those options. So I've got no options. I think it's just preview and download, just download. So if they want to download from the experience site, then it's going to do exactly that. And if they want to upload files, that's possible too. But again, with all the controls and kind of surety that Peter isn't able to access, any folders above or sideways from where he is. And that is pretty much everything I was going to show. So I wanted to make sure we had time for questions, and we can go back over anything that I might have rushed through, or also anything that anyone on our side thought I might have missed. So Luke, have we got any questions coming through?
Yes, yeah, we have.
Okay.
So I think we've answered one. There was a question from Yanis in and around document uploads from the Experience Cloud. So I think we've probably answered that question for you, Yanis. And then there was the licensing structure for Collaboration Butler. So I can take that one from a sales end. So it's normal to a sort of standard PDF Butler user model. So it's per user per month, and I think it's €7. For I think in euros and various different amounts in all the different currencies we work in. So yeah, but please feel free to reach out to your account manager or ping questions in through to myself, etc. We can get you the price for your region, for example. But off the top of my head, I think it's €7. So the equivalent esque in and around that sort of $7-8 in US dollars, etc. In there. So that's the price point. Then we had a question from Chris, Regarding, can you select multiple files in the document tree to action? So I think we sort of showed that a little bit, Michael, but I think maybe what Chris is getting at is to, yeah, is to from the document tree to select multiple ones. But I think it's just a radio button today. But
It is, yeah. So if you want to if you want to bring multiple files in, you just have to select one, and then you can pick up others from SharePoint. So if I then go to attach others, these are all going to be other files and folders within SharePoint. But if you do want to do things like send multiple files for signature, if you've got 5 Word documents that you want to merge together, we do have ways and means to do that using, kind of a combination of different things. But at any point as well, if you do find, there's a kind of a limit to what you want to do, then yeah, you're only a click away from SharePoint itself to say, right, okay, now I want to do something from here if you had that set up. But yeah.
perfect, thank you. A question from Kurt in here, so I think you can probably expand a little bit more on this, Michael. But the question is, what's behind the buttons, sign quote for email and other buttons, sort of custom code? So those actionables, I guess, that we can see on the screen.
Yeah, so these are what we call packs. So let's pick up one as an example. Edit and add emails from Collab Butler, which I was editing recently. So a pack brings together a certain .config and what we call an actionable. So you can call it whatever you want. If you change the name of this, it's going to change the name of that button. And it's just a case of picking up this customer pack ID and dropping it onto the component in the page editor. But the actionable really is, in this case, what we want to use it for. So this has got a name which you're not going to see. You choose the record type. So this is an auto email for quick action. And then you use a certain class, which is on our Academy. So if you're looking to set this functionality up, this will be copy paste, from the Academy. And then the rest of it is just choosing which template you want to use and where's it going to go to. So yeah, because we're on an opportunity, we've got this particular data source, which is just pointing at the primary contact. And then there's loads of other options on here about that. But yeah, that's where those buttons kind of point to. But yeah, there's no coding. It's just a case of pointing at the right things. And we include these classes just to differentiate what you might want this button to do. So there's loads in my, kind of recently used. If I want to do form Butler, but I don't want to send an email, I want to do it right now. That's, sign Butler via an email. There's loads of different ones that you can use. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I hope that answers the question. So next, we've got a number of questions coming in. So this is good. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone. So next one from Karen. Can collaboration Butler be set up to meet the rules and workflows of industries like legal or healthcare?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it depends on what those workflows are. But in this contract use case, for instance, as we changed stage, either document creation is allowed or not. So it's allowed at this stage, but then in negotiation review, it's not. That was a really simple example, and all I've done there is just page visibility based on the stage. And this just means that people can't press that button again and accidentally, even someone with the right permissions overwrite the existing one. You can, put a date in the file name to prevent that as well. Or you can also, this is also just going to create a version in SharePoint that you can always revert to as well. So it's not like it's going to delete it. But yeah, I suppose we can discuss that with you if you'd like, and we can see if we can fit it exactly to their use case. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, Karen, I think it'd be great if you want to feel free to shoot us over an email or your partner manager or your contact you've got at PDF Butler. Obviously, feel free to shoot it over to me, but if you've got another contact, then feel free to, we can jump on the call and just answer that question for your specific use case as we go through. More than happy to do that. The next question, which is actually almost a little bit linked to what you're just talking about in here, is can you
Sure.
track the version history of documents shared through Collaboration Butler?
The version history shared through Collaboration Butler. So if I'm not sure I follow exactly, but yeah,
For
I
me,
suppose
it's
create.
probably more like a Word. It's more like the Word functionality. Then we're just gonna show that back into the SharePoint.
Yeah,
site fundamentally.
I've hit this button twice. So on this particular template, it has the time in it. So if I'm quick enough, I do it in the same minute. Then when we go into the browser version of this folder, we should see that this has a version history. There you go. Yeah, so we've got two versions. There's actually no difference between the two. But if your question is, can we show this version history in here? I don't think so. That might be something we can look at doing. But you can add extra metadata field and columns. So I wonder if that can be displayed as a column, maybe with a bit of SharePoint logic. Yeah, maybe it's just a case of I'm not seeing it. Let me know. There's like
That's
a
fine. I think we
version.
can. That was actually
Yeah.
from an anonymous question in there. But yeah, feel free
Okay.
to come back
Yeah.
and ask us that question in there. Quick question, Sandy. Yes, there will be a copy of this movie recorded, shared afterwards. Zoom will send it out to everyone after however long it takes to process. We'll then send it out. So yeah, you will get it. Question in here. So cautious of time, we want to try to wrap up in the next 2 minutes just to make sure everyone's to be cautious of everyone's time. So take the final two here. So here we go, Michael. Could this be also be in use for whenever you have collaboration, but when a customer needs to send an email with documents to connected email to cased email in Salesforce? Could then the document also be stored directly and connected to the SharePoint environment? So I guess it's pulling out the document from the email, the case to email, and then pushing that into collaboration. But I'm not sure if we've seen that. Maybe you have.
Yeah, I think we could probably do that. So instead of people sending you really large, annoying, uh, yeah, attachments that you want to put them into a folder for the case. Yeah, I think that's possible. I just have to look at exactly how case to email handles attachments, but we would use that with kind of a sweep. So that flow can have a trigger. So instead of it running every, night, it would just run as the case is created, and it would move those files to a specific folder. Yeah, I mean, we've had people as well ask pretty similar use cases, so we can look at that. Yeah.
And then the last question that we'll pick up here before we finish is there's a tricky one, which we have to come back to, Chris, but I'll throw it out there anyway. So what are the main functional gaps between Google Drive and versus SharePoint? So Michael, you and I spoke about this a little bit the last couple of weeks, and yeah, there's a few, but it's not crazy.
Yeah, it's yeah, I just haven't set very much up here. But you do have those same preview, sharing, renaming, creating subfolders. Yeah, it's just we'll have to get a list. I think there's kind of so many features in both of them. Yeah, we'll have to send you out an exact list.
Fantastic. So last thing I want to leave everybody with, thank you very much for all of your time as well, people, and joining us again. Last thing I want to just leave with some go-to-market messaging here. So fundamentally, we're talking about easy document management in Salesforce. So as we've seen, being able to access, manage, organize documents, and all from within Salesforce, so not jumping between the platforms. One place for teams to collaborate. So we talk about tracking changes, etc., and with all the Salesforce environments, and also be able to keep those files organized and easy to find. That's always a stress with documents, being able to where they are. People have the ideas of where to store them, etc. But hopefully now, one uniform place to store documents is a great use case. So we see a number of customers leveraging it, and maybe it's one of the lesser products of the PDF Butler suite. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to get it out into the world and share everybody what it's capable of. But more than happy now to set up some calls with everyone on the call, separately, and just walk through their use cases and demo a little bit more and go into drive into some use cases. So once again, Michael, thank you very much for your time and showing us through the solution. And everybody, thank you very much for joining us. And there'll be another one in the series in the next few weeks. So watch out on your socials and emails, and there'll be a new one coming in the next few weeks on a different topic. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of the week.